Recording. Okay. So yesterday we began talking about the different types of number bases. We talked about the decimal system. We talked about the binary system, and then we mentioned a little bit about the hexadecimal system, right? So now what we are going to be doing today is that we are going to be working with conversion between binary and decimal and then vice versa. So that is what we're doing today. I know that some of you have already sent in your assignments, and that's very good. What we will be doing today is just review. I will be working on the first activity with you guys together tomorrow. So if anybody decides that, okay, I think I did one wrong and you have already sent it, that is okay. You can always resend your assignment once it's before Friday. All right? So now, what we're doing today is conversion of bases, and like I mentioned, we want to convert binary to denary and then denary to binary. So I want to change a base 2 number to a base 10 number, and then I want to change a base 10 number to a base 2 number. And that is what the objectives are for today. All right? Sorry about that, guys, as I have people around here. So if I unmute and mute at certain times, it's because of the background noise where I am, right? I am at work and there are people here in the room. Okay, so let's continue. First, we are gonna work with changing a denary number to a binary number. I'm gonna change a base 10 number to a base 2 number. Now, for me to be able to do that, I need to know what a base 10 number is, and I need to know what a base 2 number is. So now I'm going to start by changing a regular number, a number that I use, a number that we use in our system, and I'm going to change it to a number that only has ones and zeros. All right? So that's the first thing that I want to do. Now, when we convert numbers from decimal to binary, the base of the number changes, and that is very important. When you write your answers, if the question says 127 base 10, change that to a base 2. After you do all of your working and you write your final answer, that answer has to have the little 2 at the bottom. If it does not have that little 2, I'm sorry, but your answer is wrong. Even if I know and you know and everybody knows that that is a base 2 number, but if you don't write the base 2 number, I cannot give you the points for something you did not do. Right? So that is very important. All of your answers have to have the base. If your answer is a base 2, if your answer is a base 10, or if your answer is a base 16, or if your answer is whatever kind of base, you have to write the base in your answer. Now, the steps for how to change a decimal number to a binary number. The easiest method is through division. There are different methods of how this can be done. But we are going to work with the easiest method, which is that of division. When we are given a denary number or a decimal number, a number in base 10, for me to be able to change that number into a base 2, I have to divide that number. And I'm going to divide and divide and divide and divide until I cannot divide anymore. Right? And we do this when we take a base 10 and we want to change it to any base. That is the same process that we do. In this case, we want to change it to a base 2. And because you want to change it to a base 2, then I need to divide by 2. Alright? And we are going to get that division over and over and over, the division by 2, until we have reached to the point where I cannot divide anymore. Now, Let's look at an example, and I have an example here with diagrams, and then we're gonna work on some of them in our notebooks, right? So you have to have your notebooks with you. So our example is convert the decimal number 13 base 10, and look at the 13 base 10 to a binary number. The solution. We start by dividing the given number repeatedly by 2 until we get the quotient as a 0. We will note the remainders in order, right? So, the first step is that I'm going to divide 13 by 2. 13 by 2, how many times? That goes 6 times. And how many remainder? I get a remainder of 1. I'm going to take the 6 and I'm going to divide it by 2 and I get 3 and I get a remainder of 0. I'm going to take the 3 and I'm going to divide it by 2 and that is going to give me 1 and I get a remainder of 1. Then I'm going to take the 1 and I'm going to divide it by 2 and I get a remainder of 0. I get the answer being 0 and the remainder of 1. This is one way how you can set up your work. It's a little bit, it's a lot of writing, but I'm going to show you a way for you guys to do this. And then that's a little bit more easier and a little bit more understandable for you guys to do, right? So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Let me go to the questions. These are the 3 numbers that we're going to be doing, right? So I want you guys to write these 3 numbers in your notebooks because I'm going to change from device so that you guys can see me working it. So I need you guys to write down the numbers 128, 95, and 37. So when I ask for the numbers, then you can give me the numbers, okay? Has everybody written them down? 128,
Yes, miss.
95, and 37. Okay,
Yes,
good.
miss.
Yes, miss.
So I'm going to stop sharing from here. I'm going to share from my other device. Okay. So I'm going to use this one now. And in this one I can write and you guys can see what I'm writing. So what was the first number?
128.
128, right? So let me 128 base 10. Okay. So now I want to change 128 and I want to change that to a base 2 number, right? That is what I want to do. So now what do we have to do? What do we say we have to do to the 128?
Divide, miss.
Divide
By what do we divide?
2.
By 2.
By
By
2.
2.
Very good. So now this is what we're going to be doing. I'm going to create a table that has 3 columns. My first column is going to be my number. My middle column is going to be my answer. And my last column is going to be my remainder. Alright? So my first column is my number. My middle column is my answers. After I divide, what answer do I get? And then the last column is my remainder. So after I divide, do I get a remainder of 1 or do I get a remainder of 0? Alright? So that's what we are going to be doing. So this is the table that I want you guys to use. And the first number that I'm going to write here is 128. What is 128 divided by 2?
64.
64.
64. Very good. And I'm going to write 64 there. How much remainder do you get?
0.
0.
0. Now I'm going to take the 64 and I'm going to write it there because that is now my new number. What is 64 divided by 2?
32.
32. Very good. How much remainder do you get?
None.
How much remainder?
None.
You get 0 remainder. I'm going to write 32 again, right? What is 32 divided by 2?
16.
16.
Very
Miss.
good. How much remainder?
No remainder
No
again.
remainder.
Now your tables can go down more, right? I'm writing big here, so I can't go more. So I'm gonna write it over here on this side. 60. Your table will continue because you are doing it in your notebook, right? You have space. So right under the 32, you're gonna write 16. I'm just doing it on this side because I don't have more space. Alright? What is 16 divided by 2?
8.
8.
8. How much remainder?
0.
Very good. What is 8 divided by 2?
4.
Remainder?
0.
None.
What is 4 divided by 2?
2.
2.
Remainder?
0.
And what is 2 divided by 2?
1.
1.
1. Now,
1.
I have reached the 1 and I can't divide the 1 by 2, right? So this is where I stop because I can't do anything else here. Now, my answer now, I have done the division. I have finished with that. I need to write my answer. Now my answer is going to start from this one right here. And I'm going to write up. Alright? So from the 1 in the order of how the numbers appear, moving up. That is how I'm going to write my answer. So I'm going to write the 1. Then I'm going to write the 0. Then I'm going to write the other 0. Then the other 0. Then the other 0. Then the other 0. 5. And then the last 0. And this is my answer. Base 2. Yes? Any questions?
No, miss. No, miss.
Okay. What is the second number?
95.
95 base 10. So I'm going to draw my table again because I want this answer in base 2. I'm going to draw numbers, answer, remainder. My table. Alright? My number is 95, so I'm going to put 95 here. What is 95 divided by 2?
47.5.
11.5.
Okay, let me rephrase that. How many times can 2 go into 95?
47 remainder. 1.
37 times, very good. And I have a remainder of
1.
remainder of 1. Okay.
Miss.
Yes?
It's 47, not 37.
Okay, it's 47.
47.
Okay, now yes?
Yes, miss.
Very good. Okay, let's continue. What is 47 divided by 2? This is why I asked you guys for your little calculator. Remember yesterday I asked for calculators?
23.5.
23.8.
23.5, miss.
20.5.
Okay, so now When you do it on your calculators or you're doing it in your head, 47 divided by 2 gives you 23.5. I am just going to write the 23 here because it goes 23 times. The 0.5 that comes out, that stays there, means that there is a 1 that I have to divide into two pieces because I'm dividing by 2. So now, whenever you get in your calculator a number 0.5, that means that there is a remainder of 1, right? So I'm not going to be writing the 23.5 or the 47.5 because this is not how it works. I only want to know how many times can 2 go into 47? Well, it goes 23 times, and then I have a remainder of 1, right? There is no decimals here. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
miss.
2 into 23.
11.5.
11.5.
11 and the remainder of 1. 2 into 11. 5.
5.5.
0.5.
5 and a remainder of 1. 5 into 2.
By 2.
2.
2 and the remainder of
1.
1.
1.
and the remainder of 1. Very good. And then 2 divided by 2.
1.
1. Can I divide more?
No, miss.
No, miss.
And then this is gonna be my answer right here, but from the bottom going up. Right? Now, for this one, all of them are ones. But there are some questions where you will get a 1, a 0, and different orders, right? Okay, sorry about that, guys. So, let's write the answer. I have 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 6 ones, right?
Yes,
Yes.
miss.
Base 2.
Miss,
Yes, miss.
Yes?
just asking you if you don't need to put any comma to that number.
No, 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 no. No commas. Whenever you're writing a base 2, there is no commas for any base, right? When we are talking about bases, we don't want to be putting the commas. We only put commas to base 10 numbers, right? So your answers for base 2, for base 16, for base 8, any base, no commas. Very good question, Lizette, because I had not mentioned that before. But when you write your answers in base 2, in this case, then your answer, no commas. Okay? So exactly how I am writing it, that is how you're writing it. Alright? Anybody has any questions, or can I move on to the other one? No questions? Okay. What is the other number?
37.
37.
Okay, 37. 37 base 10, and I want to write that as a base 2. First thing, you make your table, the number, the answer, and then the remainder. Right? Number, answer, remainder. So my number here is 37. So that is the first one. What is 37 divided by 2?
18.
18.1.
Remainder 1.
18. Remainder 1. Very good. I'm going to do 18 now. What is 18 divided by 2?
9.
9.
9. Very good. Uh, Give me 1 second, guys. I have to quickly get up and do something. 1 second. Okay, guys. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Do we have a remainder? Yes or no?
No, miss.
No, so I'm
No,
going to write
miss.
a 0. 9 divided by 2.
4.
4.
4.
Or me.
Remainder.
Remainder 1.
Very good. 4 divided by 2.
2.
2.
Remainder.
Remainder 0.
None.
0. Very good. And 2 divided by 2.
1.
1.
1. Very good. And then we have reached a 1 and we can't divide anymore. Right? So I'm going to circle this because this is my answer. And I'm going to write it from bottom going up. So my answer is going to be 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, base 2. And that is my answer. Anybody has any questions?
No, miss.
Okay. So, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. I'm going to stop sharing from here. And I'm going to share from here. Okay. So this is what we did right now. 128, 95, and 37. We changed those 3 base 10 numbers to base 2 numbers. Now we want to do the opposite. Alright? We want to do the opposite. We want to change a base 2 number and then now I want to make it into a base 10 number. Alright? So, there are 2 methods in how we can do this. We are only going to be looking at one method. We are going to be looking at the positional notation method. That is a very big name for something that is very easy. Alright? Positional notation means that I'm working with the place value. Where that number is, I'm just going to give it a value. Alright, that is what the positional notation method is. And we're going to work with an example, with a few examples of that. And the same thing I have, so the other method before I move on is the doubling method, but we are not going to look at the doubling method. It's a little bit more complicated. It is faster, but it's a little bit more complicated and you need to do a lot of mental math for you guys to be able to do the doubling method. Alright, so we're only going to be looking at the positional method because I don't want to confuse you guys either. So the positional notation method is one in which the value of the digit in a number is determined by a weight based on its position. What I just said right now. So let's consider the binary number 101101 base 2. List out the powers of 2 for all the digits starting from the rightmost position. The first power would be 2 to 0, and as we move it, we will have 2 to the first power, 2 to the second power, 2 to the third power, 2 to the fourth power, 2 to the fifth power, and so on, depending on how many numbers we have. So now, yesterday we talked about place values and I showed you guys a place value chart that had all of these powers and it starts from 2 to the 0 power on the right side and it moves all the way to the left side with the powers raising up, right? So have 2 to the 0 on that side, then 2 to the first, 2 to the second, 2 to the third, 2 to the fourth, 2 to the fifth, and it goes increasing and increasing depending how many digits are in the number. So, what does the positional value look like? If I have the number 101101, I am gonna give each of those numbers a power. And I start from the right. So the 1 is gonna have 2 to the 0. The 0 is 2 to the first. The 1 is 2 to the second. The other one is 2 to the third. And I move on and I give each number a power. After I give each number a power, I am gonna multiply it by that power. This is a little bit, might be a little bit confusing. I'm gonna show you guys an even easier way to do this right now. But this is how the positional notation method looks like. And the way that I'm going to be showing you right now is the same thing, but we are skipping a few things, right? Because we want to do it the fastest way possible. We don't want to be beating around the bush when we do this. So I have 3 numbers. I want you guys to write down these numbers. Write them down exactly as they appear here. Because if you confuse a 1 and a 0, well, guess what? We're going to get a wrong answer, right? So the first one is 11011. The second one is 1110. And the third one is 10101. All right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing from here. I'm gonna share again from here. Okay. So now, here, the first thing I want to do, and I want you guys to write this in your notebooks. I want you guys to give me the value for each one of these. What is the answer of 2 to the 0 power?
0, Miss.
No, it's not 0.
2.
It's not 2.
One,
One,
Miss.
miss. It's one.
1. Very good. It's 1. Any number raised to the power of 0 is 1. What is 2 to the first power?
2.
2.
Very good. Now, yes, 2. 2 to the second power.
3.
3.
Four. Four, miss. 4.
4. 2 to the second power is 2
8.
times 2,
8.
right? So 2 to the third power is 2 times 2
8, miss.
times 2. So I get 8. Very good. 2 to the fourth power. 2 times 2 times 2
16.
times 2. I'm multiplying that 4 times and I get 16. 2 to the fifth power. I'm going to multiply 2 by itself 5 times.
32.
32. Very good.
Then 64.
And then 64. Good. Okay. Now you don't have to be memorizing, right? I'm going to show you another way to remember this right now. Is everybody finished writing this?
Yes, Miss.
Miss, it is the same as the work of yesterday, Miss.
Yes, I did give this yesterday. I did show this yesterday in the place value chart. I did have these numbers there. So an easier way to remember this, I'm gonna start with 1, but on the right hand side, right? What is 1 times 2?
2.
2.
2. What is 2 times 2?
4.
4.
4.
What is 4 times 2?
8.
8.
8. What is 8 times 2?
16.
16.
16.
What is 16 times 2?
32.
32.
32.
And what is 32 times 2?
64.
64.
64.
128. None.
And then 64 times 2 is 128, right? If we do one more. But these are the numbers right now, guys. Come on. These are the numbers that I had given right here. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. These numbers. Whichever way is easiest for you to remember them, you choose one way. If you want to memorize them and say 2 to the power of 0 is 1, 2 to the power of 1 is 2, 2 to the power of 2 is 4, and then you sing a song and then you memorize it, go right ahead. If you want to do it the multiply, because you're not good at memorizing and you're like me, you can't memorize, you do 1 times 2, 2, 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 2, 8, right? And then you go multiplying. Whichever way is easiest for you, then you go ahead and you have to remember them. And you have to remember them exactly how I'm giving them to you. If you forget 32 and then you jump from 16 to 64, you are gonna get your answer wrong. So you have to be very careful, alright? So let's move on. Let's move on to what is the first number?
11, 0, 11.
Ye balaya. Zane. Aya. Ano? Mhm. Okay, so that is the first number, right? 11011. And we read it like that. We don't say 11011. There is no 11 in base 2. It's 11011. And if they give you a base 2 number that has 20 digits, you have to go 101110011, and you have to read it like that, right? You cannot say 11, 100, 10, 11, because it's easier to read like that. You go one by one and you have to read it one by one. All right? So the first thing that I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna write this number and I'm just gonna space it out a little bit. All right? At the top, and I'm gonna change my color. At the top, I am gonna write the powers. But I'm not gonna really write the powers. I'm gonna write the 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. I'm gonna write those numbers, right? So I'm gonna write 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. And I'm just gonna reach to 16 because I don't have more digits. If the number were bigger, then I would have to write 32, 64, and so forth. All right? Yes? Now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna remove all the ones that have a 0. Llévalo ahí. Allá. Allá, llévalo allá. Okay. So the only one that has a 0 in this case is the 4. So I'm going to remove that because I'm not going to use it. The 0 doesn't mean anything. Right? So this one right here, I'm removing it. I don't need it. You don't scratch up your notebook like that. You just put you put one line over it, right? I'm scratching it so you guys can see it. Don't do that on your notebooks. So now, the only ones that are important to me are these ones that have a 1. Those are the only ones that are important to me, right? And what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna take the 16, the 8, the 2, and the 1, and I'm gonna add them. So I'm gonna have 16 plus 8 plus 2 plus 1. Who can tell me what that is going to be?
27, Miss.
27. 16 and 8 should give you
33, Miss.
24. 24, 25, 26, 27. 27. Yep, it's 27. 16 plus 8 should give you 24. 24 plus 2 gives you 26. And 26 plus 1 gives you 27. Right?
Yes,
Yes,
Miss.
miss.
Yes, Miss.
Very good. So your answer is going to be 27 base 10. Any questions?
No, Miss.
No, miss.
No, miss.
Okay.
Miss, this is also a way to make the work.
The one from the one that I gave in Google Classroom, is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, one of the homeworks is doing this. One of them, the first one. So I think we have time for one more question. And then tomorrow, we are going to work on the worksheet, the one that is in Google Classroom, right? If you want, you can go ahead and try them tonight or later today. You can try maybe one or two of them, and then tomorrow we can just check it to see if you guys were on the right track. So,
Miss,
yes.
I did activity 1, miss. Is that okay?
Yes, that is fine. Yeah, if you guys already did it, that's great. So when we work on it tomorrow, you can just be checking your answers.
I
Okay.
also sent it to you today in the morning, miss.
Okay, good. Then I can take a look at that. Okay. My battery is low. Let's do one more. Who can tell me what the following question is?
1110.
1110.
Base
1110. Okay, so I have 0, 1, 1, 1. I'm gonna write my numbers at the top. So I start with 1, 2, 4, 8. I remove the ones that have a 0. And then these are the ones that I'm gonna use. Right? So I'm gonna have 8 plus 4 plus 2.
It will give you 14, Miss.
14, Miss.
14, miss.
Very good. So my answer is gonna be 14 base 10. Anybody has any questions?
No, miss.
Okay, guys.
No,
So
miss.
we are finished for today. Let me Let me stop sharing. Let me leave. Okay. Let me stop recording.